Hifsa, we have you for Fail Haiku for an interview. And I've been sort of anticipating this and waiting for it because you're one of my favorite poets. And
Thank you.
uh, I think you not only write well, I'm going to flatter you here. You not only write well, you write about important themes. So you're not a person who's afraid to tackle any subject. And it's easy sometimes to take something and make it, I don't know, to hit the nail too hard on the head, as they say. You do it beautifully. So you are a favorite of
Mm.
mine. You've been published in Fails Haiku many times. You've been in our contest. You've done all kinds of things, and you've been very successful very quickly. But I think it's all based on the fact that you are the person you are. Who you are comes right through your poems. And
Yes.
as I've told you before, Brian Rickard, who's my co-editor, would love to have been here today, but he can't. But he's a huge fan too. So I don't know anybody who doesn't know you, but know your work. But I would like you to tell us just briefly who you are, where you are, and and what are the things you do in the real world.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. And it's a great pleasure and honor to be interviewed by you. As everybody knows my name is Hifsa Ashraf, and I live in Rawalpindi, Pakistan. I grew up here after doing my master's in industrial psychology and educational planning and management. I joined a college and then a university where I taught psychology and various subjects of management sciences. And after that, I joined an international HR consultancy firm um, where I got this chance to visit some remote areas of Pakistan. That transformed my life in many ways. Like I've seen poverty, deprivations, grief, sadness, and I personally met people who live below the poverty line. So, and that now reflects in my poetry as well. And before this pandemic, I joined a UK-based charity organization as a project consultant and as a regional coordinator. So this is brief about myself, but I want to share something about my city, Rawalpindi. There is a place near to Rawalpindi which is called Texla, and Texla has an old heritage of Buddhism and Gandhara art that dates from 1st to 7th century CE. And there is a meditating Buddha that is from 4th century CE. And there is a museum which is called Texla Museum. And there are 4,000 objects displayed from 600 BC to 500 AD. So there is a this city is significant in many ways, but I thought I should mention it because it is linked with haiku. And that's it. A little bit about myself.
Great. Well, yeah, it's I whenever people uh, ask me some of my favorite places, I've never been to Pakistan. Obviously, I spent time in India, but it is so beautiful, and the people are so beautiful in that area of the world.
Yes.
So it's really a wonderful place, very humbling to go there. And of course, I'm pretty laid back to begin with, but I would love to come someday. I may be getting too old
Yes,
to
you are
make
most
those.
welcome. You can come anytime. You're most welcome.
I would like to, but I'm afraid the older you get, uh, so it makes it more difficult. So my traveling days may be over, I suspect. But
Mhm.
where can people find your work on the internet? Do you have where are places that you post? Where are places that you have been published? Give me a little hint on the internet.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that I'm more active on Twitter. And I often use Facebook for sharing some updates or getting some updates. But Twitter is the place where you can find me anytime. And then I have a blog that is updated, which is hifsa's.blogspot.com. And I have also developed, maybe initiated a website which is called Savan Rut, which means monsoon season. And this is basically a magazine, bilingual magazine, where the idea is to share the translation of haiku in Urdu. Like I want to promote Urdu haiku. So I started it, but I couldn't work on it because I have other priorities, other projects. So, but I'm looking for someone who can help me with this, like uploading haiku on that website, because I'm not an IT guy. So anyone who can volunteer for it, they're most welcome. But right now, I just put it on the back burner because I have enough on my plate right now. I'm working on books, I'm working on work assignments and other stuff. And that's it.
Well, I'll tell you, also, you have this.
Yes, I have this.
Yeah. Her Fading Henna Tattoo is a favorite of mine. It's beautifully illustrated, beautifully done. And uh, it just got shortlisted for the Touchstone Awards. So I really want to congratulate you for that. But tell me a little bit about, give people a taste for it, because they can get it, I guess, on Amazon and on other locations, right?
Okay. Um, if you're talking about my recent two books, because I had two other books that got published last year. One is with Alan Summers, that is The Comfort of Crows. Second book is a mini chapbook that is Working with Demons. It's about workplace Islamophobia.
Hmm.
And these two books, there's a story behind writing these books. Actually, when pandemic was at its peak, um, I got involved in Russian distribution campaign. Like we distributed food packs in remote areas, in slum areas. There, I met many women who were passing through these domestic violence and mental health issues. Though I had written haiku before this campaign, but I never got a chance to get them published or to submit them or get them published. So at that time, I got this idea, and because there was a lockdown, strict lockdown everywhere, no publishing press was accepting work. So I sent this idea to Robin, and Robin asked me. She asked me to send my manuscripts, and then I sent them, and she liked them, and she accepted. Um, Let me just tell you a little bit about the sublines, like both have sublines. So one is about domestic violence. Domestic violence is not a new term. Like people have written a lot about it, even in literature. But when I met women around me in my surroundings, what I feel that usually they are not aware of the term violence, or they deny it. The reason is I grew up in patriarchal setup, male-dominated society. So women, they usually ignore this thing. If violence happens to them, they ignore it. Like they consider it their fate. They consider it patience. They consider it maybe something in routine. They consider it their family rituals because their mothers they had faced it. So if they are facing, it's very normal. Maybe they consider it a part of marital adjustment. So I've seen that they are not aware if they are facing violence. So that perception and maybe that aspect, uh, that basically inspired me to write about or talk about this topic. And you have read this book. Every single haiku is a story, and every single haiku manifests various forms of violence, and every single haiku is basically a real story. And I can tell you, I can provide you information about every single haiku. I did not exaggerate. It's not something abstract. It's not something imaginative. So these are all real stories.
Sadly.
And about my second book, about my second book, that is about destigmatizing mental health issues, running after shadows. Um, Again, patriarchal setup. Women suppress their feelings and emotions. They don't talk about their mental health because there is a taboo. If you talk about it, you will be considered crazy, insane, maybe you will be treated differently. So, especially for women, because they feel worthless if they share these mental health illness issues. So, yes, I know that the topic is very sensitive. I know people may take it another way, like, why are you talking about these issues? And it's very sensitive and we should not talk about. I wanted to share this issue, this topic, so that women come forward and they share their stories. Like if they are facing it, yes, it's very natural if you have mental health issue, and it's very natural if you have depression. It's very natural if you are frustrated, you are angry. So I have what I did. I just pick all common mental health issues, and then I convert them into haiku. And basically, if you have seen, they're not very medical terms in this book. It's very simple. You can easily relate to every single haiku. And this was the intention because both books are in the context of patriarchy, basically.
It's a very powerful book, and
Yes.
the way you handled it. I mean, it's yeah. Not very proud of my gender sometimes. Uh, but this one, this book, I've read to several people about it. I've read poems from this book to show people what it is, and I hope I'm helping you sell it because it's a topic that's important to me too, and it happens everywhere in the world. You're not alone, sadly. So this is one of those that I think is a keeper, and I hope anybody that's listening, if you have a chance, we'll put the link underneath. I definitely would recommend you buy this
And
book.
I want to add, yeah, Mike, I want to add something like I encourage people to purchase these two books because the money will go to charities who are working in remote areas of Pakistan and who are working for the rights of women. So that's why I encourage, because I'm not getting out of anything from these books. So it's the money will go to those charities. So this was the intention behind writing these books. So please purchase your copies. You can share your reviews maybe on Amazon. I'm looking forward to reading your feedback, your views, and I hope that you will like it, because these are not simply poetry books. These are not simply haiku books. There are intentions behind to encourage with people, and because there are many women who cannot read English or who cannot understand many words in English. That's why I keep it bilingual. So that's why it's in Urdu as well.
You did a beautiful job. Can I read two of them back to back? Would you mind?
Yes, yes, please.
I like these two
Yeah,
because
you can read.
there's a juxt there. There one's on one page, one's on the next page, And there's something about the word violence. People talk about violence as if it was this all the time. This is just a piece of it. And these two poems really tell you something. Blind spot. He finds the moon a mere dot. And on the following page, it's almost like a response. Housebound, finding my place in the Milky Way. Whew. These are two people who are a million miles apart. It's just a tremendous tribute the way you handled it. This isn't a book that is designed to tug your heart, but you do it, and you do it so beautifully. So this one I absolutely recommend. Tell us about the other book, because I think that's a good topic too to talk about.
About my collaboration with Alan Summers and Islamophobia. You're talking about those two
Yes.
books? Okay. Islamophobia, basically, Elan from Proletaria organization, he announced manuscript submission for his website on Twitter. So I was writing about Islamophobia at that time, and I shared a couple of haiku with two journals, and they rejected. And after that, I thought maybe I can just write more poems and submit it to Ilan, and maybe he'll accept it. So it's a mini chapbook with 15 haiku. When I submitted this to Ilan, he accepted it without asking any question, without any revision. And the idea is to tell people like Islamophobia happens everywhere. It's not only the issue of America, it's not only the issue of UK, it's happening everywhere. So I thought I should just read, being a Muslim, I should just talk about this topic. I never ever faced Islamophobia, but there are many friends around me who live abroad. They face on daily basis. So some of them, they shared their workplace stories. So I compiled them as a book. And let me share with you one interesting incident. When I shared a couple of haiku related to Islamophobia, um, the editor of one journal, she said, okay, I never ever heard about this term. I don't know about this term. So if you can elaborate a little bit about this, and then I can consider it, and maybe it may put me in any situation. So I did not reply to that email. And then after that, I thought maybe it's very critical or controversial issue. But still, I shared haiku, I think, with Fair Haiku and other journals, and they accepted my work. The intention behind writing this mini chapbook is to tell people it really exists and we can talk about it. And let me share with you one more thing. I was going to edit an anthology on Islamophobia through the platform of Humankind. But we could not continue because the pandemic it broke out, and we couldn't get time or chance to invite people for this. The intention behind that anthology was to ask people to share their positive experiences with Muslims, to share the positive side of Islam, like Islamic culture, architecture, calligraphy, and anything they know about Islam in a positive way, they can just share it through this anthology. I hope we will just resume our work, because we have done a lot in the background, and I hope we'll continue this year. So this was the idea behind it. And about my first book, that was collaborative work with Alan Summers. Honestly, I never ever thought that I would work with Alan Summers. Actually, I shared my a digital image that was created by me on Twitter, and Alan liked it. And then we had a discussion about that image. That is basically about crow, and he liked that image. And then he gave this idea like we should write a book about crows. And I always call our book is about Alan's pet crows, and we have written about crows and basically various aspects of crows or symbolism of crows in different cultures. And because during that time when we were just working on this book, it took us 1.5 years to finalize this book. I mean, we have worked a lot on, we have pick and choose, we have excluded, included a lot of haiku, but we finally did it. And during this time, I think I learned a lot because Alan, he is a very sporting haiku master,
He's
very
brilliant.
kind soul.
He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
he's he's true Brit. I always call him, you are true Brit. Like very kind, very caring, a great mentor. So we worked on it. Then we shared it with Chrissy for Velvet Dusk Publishing Press, and basically it's a debut publication. So she and Shiloka, they both edited that book, and we enjoyed a lot, like a lot of humorous fun. And basically the topic itself, it was very serious, but I always ask Alan, why do you talk about crows? What's so special about that? And he always said, they clean up our mess. They are our guardians. They are our caretakers. And yes, when I worked with him on this book, I came to know and I was convinced that they are a very important and significant creature in our lives.
Yeah.
So that is how it happened.
I think one of the things that about Islamophobia, the problem with it is, it'd be like if a haiku poet did a terrible thing. Would we arrest all the haiku poets? Would we throw them in jail? Would we hate them? Would we fire them from their jobs? I hope not. To me, it's never made any sense. And in any religion, uh, all religions have uh,
Yes, exactly.
bad corners. They're corners. It's like turning a corner a quarter of an inch at the end of the page and saying the page is destroyed. No, that's
Yeah.
what's so frightening about it, is that people run uh, uh, to these broad categorizations. So it's an important topic. That's what that's what I've enjoyed about your work, is that you're not afraid of the topics. Uh,
Yeah, yes.
and I'll tell
And
you,
if I share with you, I think I've written about honor killing. I've written about child bride. I've written about climate change, domestic violence, mental health issues, Kashmir issue, Islamophobia. So there is a variety of things that I've written about. So these are all social issues. And I always tell people, like, whenever I write about socio-political issues, um, I always write about victims. I always write about oppressed ones. I write about their thoughts, feelings, emotions. I will never ever give space to oppressors or hunters. So whenever you read my work, just keep in mind, like I have a couple of incidents in past. So whenever you read my work, just keep in mind, I don't have any political agenda, political motives behind it. You may not find a single political term in my haiku. So it's all about victims. I become the voice of victims. I just try to put myself into their shoes. And I try to share their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts, their miseries, their sadness, and their complaints. So these are all about people, the humane side. So I always keep in mind whenever I write haiku. So don't be afraid of me when I write about socio-political issues. So it's not about something controversial. It may not put you in any controversy. So
Yeah,
don't worry about that.
I know. And that's the secret that really good poets have. They can address the toughest issues and not do it in a way that takes even a side other than the side of the victim. It's always that way. It's to me, and there you write like you remind me of, and she's passed away some years ago. She was much older than you, Marlene Mountain, who would attack any subject,
Yeah.
any subject. I'm sure you've read some of her work. The other is
Yes.
Alexis Rotella, who will attack any
Mhm.
subject. She is not totally unafraid. And the same as you, she doesn't come at it in a way that tries to. The situation is bad enough itself, so you don't need to demonize the oppressor. Even you don't. It's because the situation is so bad that it's automatic. The reader will get there, and that's the way you handle this. I'll tell you, you've done a beautiful job in the things that I've read dealing with those subjects. And you're absolutely correct. It isn't political one way or the other. I care about outcomes for people. I don't care about outcomes for politicians because frankly, I don't care for most of them.
Yes,
Oops,
yes,
I let that
exactly.
slip out.
But it's a way to share, it's a way to remind people, it's a way to tell people like things are happening because victims will not come forward to tell you. You have to just go to them, you have to share their stories, and they're not in a position to say anything. So we are because they are vulnerable, because they are powerless, because they are not in a position to come forward to share their stories openly because there's certain emotional issues, certain traumas, traumatic memories, and all that. So you are the one who is observing it, and you are the one who is observing those issues closely. And if you don't write about it, then I think it's unjust.
Exactly. Exactly. No, anyway, I will just give you the testimony. I'll tell anybody. We'll have the links for the books beneath this video. But the truth is, you do it masterfully. You don't have clinkers either. The nice thing I'll tell you is your work is finished. It's polished, and it doesn't need anything added to it. You handle it so beautifully. And I know I'm terrible. I hope I'm not embarrassing you too much, but you're really a
No,
wonderful poet, and you've really touched a lot of people. So, but
yeah.
I want to
It's a
switch this
very
up.
brief, it's a very brief journey, Mike. I mean, I've been writing poetry since my teenage. I've written in three languages: Urdu, English, and Punjabi. In Urdu, I've written ghazals. In English, I've written free verse and sonnets. And in Punjabi, I've written mystic poetry about Sufism because I'm inspired by Jalaluddin Rumi. So my some of my work it got published in different local magazines and newspapers and even in online journals.
Mhm.
But my haiku journey is very short. I started writing haiku back in 2017. I mean, it's a 4 years journey. Um, Actually, I was a moderator on Google Plus, and there is a community which is poets with more than 60,000 members.
Oh,
And I was moderator, and one day somebody shared a haiku. And for the first time, I came to know about this term. And I replied to that haiku by writing 3 lines. I thought maybe it's just 3 lines, everything 3 line is haiku at that time. This was my understanding. So I know I remember Brendan Kent and late Martha Magenta. They just interrupted and they told me, oh, not every three line is a haiku, so you should just read about it. So we had a great discussion on that day, and then I wrote my first haiku and shared it with the Haiku Universe, and it got published. And I was over the moon. I thought I have achieved everything. So it was my first ever written haiku was nostalgia. The walnut door bangs back and forth. So it was my first haiku. It got published, and then I started writing haiku and sent them to a couple of journals, and they got rejected. And then I stopped writing haiku. I thought it's not my cup of tea. And I did not write haiku for 2 months. I did not even discuss it. Then Nicholas Glansky, he is my haiku brother. Mm-hmm. He encouraged me. He actually persuaded me to write haiku. He said, "You can do it. You should write. Your first haiku is wonderful. You should write." And then he suggested me to read essays on Grace Guts. So I properly read about haiku by reading those essays. And then I learned about haiku. And then I submitted my haiku to Field Haiku, and you accepted. And that was the turning point in my life, in my haiku journey. That's why I call you my hero. So when I got acceptance, I never looked back, Mike. I passionately wrote about, I've written and I've submitted in every single journal, and I got acceptance, rejection. But in 4 years, my haiku has been published in more than 70 international journals, books, anthologies, magazines. And I'm the only female Pakistani who achieved this. And this is a great honor for me. But somehow I feel that I'm still a learner, I'm still a student. I need to learn a lot. I need to learn more. So
Well,
I think it's an endless journey.
There's an old saying. It's called the beginner's mind. And in the beginner's mind, there's nothing but possibilities. In the expert's minds, well, everything gets settled. You know, you've picked your wet thing. You have managed to keep the beginner's mind, because when you keep moving through it, and I want to say publicly, I did you no favors when I published you in Failed Haiku. I did you no favors.
Thank you so much.
You sent me excellent poetry. I published it. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I had not heard of you before, you know, but that's the thing. And if you listen to any editor, every one of us have the same feeling. You're excited about getting a poem published. We're excited about publishing it. So yes. it works both ways, and you did phenomenally. Yes, so I think your haiku journey is everybody's got their story, but you have hung out with some pretty good people, Alan, and
thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about my inspiration, because the many people who inspired me throughout this journey. Mike, you are a great inspiration. I read your short haiku on Twitter. You used to share them on Twitter, and you stopped sharing them. I have no idea why. But I learned haiku by reading your short haiku, and Martha Magenta, Brendan Kent, amazing personalities. They inspired me. Initially, they introduced me to haiku. So after that, Debbie Strange, I think I learned writing tanka from her because she gifted me her book, Three-Part Harmony, if I'm not wrong. So I read that book and then I followed the format and I started writing tanka. Then after these names, I think that there are more names. Let me just check because I've written a list. I don't want to miss anybody. And Nicholas itself, Alan Summer is one person who I interacted with uh, almost daily. Maybe or through social media, and he helped me out of the way. He's a great mentor. I always call him Haiku Encyclopedia. I mean, you discuss any topic with him, he will just share links, websites, his own haiku. He has written a haiku on every single topic, if I'm not wrong. And he inspired me a lot. He supported me a lot through this journey. Basically, I learned haiku from Alan. So he told me some tips and uh, basics of haiku. So he's a great sport. Nicholas Klansky is another name, like he's haiku brother, and because we are working together for our haiku commentary blog, so he's a great support. He's always available. Whenever I ask, okay, I always give him a SOS call. I mean, whenever I feel I'm confused, I just send him a message and then I discuss with him everything related to haiku. He's a great man. And recently, Robin Anna Smith, she inspired me a lot because she is a wonderful editor. I mean, she's so caring, loving, supporting. And when I was working with her, I never ever felt that I'm working on my two books and there could be some challenges, but she never ever let me to feel those challenges. One challenge was obviously Urdu font because she doesn't have this Urdu software and all that, so it was a big challenge. But she accepted that challenge, and we finally fixed it, and we got our books bilingual. She's a great help. Then John Hawkhead. He is my Rangia Ranga partner, and we work together. He's a great support. I must say that John is, I think somehow he is an underrated poet. I mean, I love his haiku, very concrete haiku, very deep haiku. Sometimes I have to read his haiku 2 or 3 times just to get the theme and to understand the depth of that haiku. So, but he's an amazing person. And two names I want to mention out of this haiku community. One is Shiraz Ali. He helped me with translating Urdu haiku whenever I need some help because he is Urdu expert. So I asked him and he just added my Urdu haiku. And then Afzal Khan, who is British parliamentarian. Basically, he is the guy who is behind this writing about social issues. He encouraged me a lot. Like he literally asked me, "You can do it. You should use this platform to become the voice of victims, or to become the voice of those who cannot share their stories." So Afzal Khan, he is the one who is been behind my Kashmir-related work because he himself is very active about that issue. Then Islamophobia. I came to know about Islamophobia, its meaning, its definition, its different manifestations for the first time from Afzal Khan. And I call him my mentor. So he's a great inspiration. And whenever I feel that I want to write something new, I discuss that something, maybe some topic with him, and he gives his expert opinion on that topic.
Well,
So
What do
These
you?
are few names, but there are many others who I interact with on daily basis. I basically learn haiku by reading the work of other haiku poets, um, irrelevant of their names or country and all that. So I always read the work of other haiku poets, and some of them they inspire me, and sometimes I learn something new from every single haiku poet.
No, that's
So
that you've hit on
yeah, it's a
something.
wonderful community.
You've hit on something. It's the poems of others, because people say,
Yes.
well, uh, I didn't know you could do that, and I have a thing, and I'll say, "Well, I didn't know you could get away with that. If so and so could get away with it, if Roberta Berry
Yes.
can get away with it, I can get away with it. Maybe I can do it." And that's the most important thing, that's what keeps you open to your own creativity, is to see
Yes.
what other people are doing, and that's the secret sauce. What do you look for uh, in when you're reading? What do you look for in
Mhm.
people's haiku or haiben or haiku? What do you look for? What are the things you look for that you enjoy?
Actually, um, definitely it's Sanrio because I have written Sanrio more than haiku. And the other day I was roughly calculating my haiku and Sanrio, and if I put it into a ratio, it's 80% Sanrio and 20% haiku. So basically, again, the human side that touches me deeply. Um, I have certain themes on my mind, and basically, I'm a bit biased when I read the work of other poets. Um, Departure, shadows, the dark part of life. So, grief, miseries, dreams, memories. So, these are a few topics that basically resonate with me. So, whenever I read the work of other poet, and if they, wow,
I'm sorry.
this is your pet.
I'm sorry, but she
Ah,
wanted to come up and
hello,
say hi.
hello,
This is my cat. I'm sorry. This
hi.
is Damien. She's
Mm-hmm.
she has no idea what's
She's
going on here.
lovely.
Why Daddy's face is on the screen. But
Yes.
we're gonna put you down, sweetie. You I'm
So
sorry. She owns the
no
house.
issues, no issues.
I
I
rent.
think it should be yeah, it should be the part of haiku interviews.
But
I mean, one
Senru
pet should be the part of this. Yeah,
Senru
and
is
it's
is
bit,
my thing. So I I like Senru, not because I have anything against haiku. I write plenty of them. Almost every
yeah,
haiku poet
same
writes
here.
Senru and the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the freedom to discuss any topic. And
Yes, yes.
at some point, I forget who made the joke, but it's it's the freedom from Kigo. It's the freedom from the seasonal
Mm-hmm.
reference, and the things that
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at every day are the cultural, the social, the religious. Those things are all part of your life, everybody's life every day. So it's
And
something.
I also like Haiga as well. Like, but I couldn't continue writing it because I'm not a good photographer. I don't have images, so I thought maybe I if I write any haiku, I need some images, or maybe some images that can inspire me to write haiku. So I've written Haiga, submitted it to different journals, but then I stopped doing it. I created images, digital images. One of them is the cover of a cover page of The Comfort of Rose. But then I stopped doing it, and there is a reason because I had this muscular pain. So I thought maybe I should not get into this thing. Maybe in future I'll resume writing Haiga.
let
Haiga is
me
a
let me
very
give you
lovely
let me
form
give you
of
my take
poetry.
on it for a second.
Uh-huh.
I don't worry about the quality of the image, because Basho's are universally considered in Japan and abroad not to be that good. The images are not that
Mm-hmm.
good. But so that's one way to look at it. And the other thing is Kelly Savage Angel and I have done some writing together, and she'll she's she's another one, brave lady. Uh, she she will throw an image out at me and say, "I got this," and we do the reverse. And then I'll throw her an image,
Yeah.
and that's the way you can play with other poets, and that's part of the that's just
Maybe
part
I
of the
can do
growth.
it maybe in future. Yeah. I can ask people to send me their images and I can write maybe short poems on it. Somehow I feel reluctant to ask for this. Maybe people may like it or not. But it's all about inspiration. I agree with you. It's not about image, it's about inspiration you get from any image. And it's not about quality. Quality is basically within every image. Even darkness has that quality. We write about darkness. So it has some quality. So it's all about the depth, the inspiration, the way you look at that picture or image. That matters a lot.
Yeah, and it's the other thing is that these things are everything in life is messy sometimes, and and so is
Yes.
art. And so just like you can tackle any topic, sometimes the image doesn't have to be clear. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
it can be
Yeah.
just very simple. And when you start to take a look at them, I don't have it anymore, but I given away my copies. But
Mm-hmm.
Minamori had a bunch of plates. In the 30s, he was in Japan, and he convinced the emperor that they had better translate
Mm-hmm.
haiku into English, or the Americans will do it and do it wrong. I guess that was the implication. Probably he was correct, by the way. And so there are those beautiful plates in his book. It's about 900 pages long. There's about 18 or 20
Mm-hmm.
beautiful plates. But some things are so simple. And I'll give you this inspiration for Haiga. The Enzo,
Yeah.
it's the simplest thing in the world. Try doing it.
Okay.
That's
So
the hard
maybe
part.
I'll just work on it. Maybe I'll work on my book, maybe Haiga book in future. That is another that is another challenge for me.
What are you working on
That is
any?
another issue. That is personal issue, not social issue.
No, I don't worry about that. Social issues, if they're handled correctly, and you focus on the
Yes.
issue rather than pick sides,
Mm-hmm.
you can really
Mm-hmm.
change
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Agreed.
uh, I don't I don't make a secret about it. I got arrested quite a bit in the 60s for doing good things,
Yeah. Yes.
but not for doing bad things. What projects are you working on now? Do you have anything else in the hopper you want to talk about?
Yes. My upcoming projects, two more books, and I think I'm sharing it. It's a breaking news, so I'm sharing it through this platform. My first book is about refugees. If you have noticed that I have written a lot about refugees, I
Yeah.
think I'm known for that, and about refugee children. So my first book is about refugee children, and the second one is about Kashmiri women. Actually, my book about Kashmiri women, it got shortlisted last year in a competition by Stable Organization. And so I wanted to just get it published. Um, it's premature to talk about the publishing press and the editor, but these two books may come later this year because my both manuscripts they got accepted, and I'm editing both books now, working on it, revising some haiku. So these two topics, again bold topics, again socio-political topics, but I'm working on them because I think these two topics are very close to my heart, and I've met people from Kashmir. I've met refugees who came from Afghanistan to Pakistan. So yes, I can share their stories as well. So I thought I should do it now.
Yeah.
So this year, maybe, inshallah, I will have two more books.
Well, COVID's over, so we have none of us have any more excuses now. It's waning now.
Yes.
Wouldn't say it's over, but it's waning now. We used to have some things to fight it. Just one last question for you. What do you want people to take away from this interview with you? What do you want them to think about Hifsa? What do you think?
I leave it to people. I mean, if they are the best judge. I mean, they can give me positive, negative feedback about my journey, about my work. But again, I want
Oops, I think we froze. Oh, oh. I am going to have to end it. We were worried